Lieutenant Kara entered, her face marked with exhaustion, but burning with fierce determination. "We have one shot to end this, a strike deep into their core worlds." Dr. Malik approached with data pads flickering. "The technology we captured can cripple their neural networks, but it requires a sacrifice." Elena nodded. "We knew this war demands everything." Across the fractured alien empire, whispers of dissent turned to open revolt. Varkil's command splintered under pressure. His once mighty forces fractured and vulnerable. "Your species is a paradox," Varkil growled to his lieutenants. "Savage and brilliant, a fire that refuses to die." As human fleets prepared for the final assault, tensions flared, loyalties strained. In the shadows, conspiracies brewed. Kara tightened her grip on her weapon. "We fight not just for victory, but for the right to define what comes after." The countdown began, silent, unyielding. In the stillness before the storm, Eleanor whispered, "For those who came before us, and those who will follow." A last ember of hope ignited, fierce enough to shatter worlds. In a final cataclysmic clash, humanity unleashes its hidden might, shattering alien dominance and rewriting the galaxy's future. The battlefield becomes a crucible of sacrifice, strategy, and unyielding will. As ancient grudges burn away, a new era dawns, one defined by humanity's unbreakable spirit and an uncertain peace forged through fire. The void stretched infinitely, a canvas of stars, cold and indifferent. Yet within that darkness, a single human warship blazed like a meteor, streaking through night. Commander Elena's voice was calm, yet every word carried the weight of countless sacrifices. "This is our moment, the final strike." Below decks, Lieutenant Kara prepared. Her team, each soldier a quiet storm of nerves and resolve. The weapons they carried were not just tools of destruction, they were symbols of humanity's refusal to be erased. Dr. Malik moved beside her, adjusting a compact device humming with nanotech power, the culmination of years of desperate innovation. If this works, it will sever their command networks, blind their war machines, and give us the edge we need. The alien empire's heart, the citadel of Varkil, gleamed in the distance, a fortress of twisted metal and shimmering energy. Shields, surrounded by legions of relentless ships and troops, Varkil's command chamber was a scene of chaos. The once imposing warlord paced with fury, the cracks in his empire bleeding like wounds impossible to heal. "We face extinction," he growled, eyes burning with rage and fear. "But Earthlings, they fight with the fury of death itself." Outside, fleets collided like titans in the void. Plasma blasts lanced through clouds of debris, war cries echoed in countless languages, and the fate of worlds trembled in balance. On the bridge of the Resolute, Elena's gaze was fixed on the battle. Map, blinking red alerts, ship formations, and critical nodes. Every second was a chess move in a deadly game. "Deploy the nanotech disruptors," she ordered. "Focus on their shield generators." Kara's squad infiltrated the Citadel's perimeter, moving through tunnels twisted with alien architecture and guarded by relentless sentries. "Stay sharp," Kara whispered, "every sense alert." "We're the ghost in their fortress." Dr. Malik activated the disruptor devices, swarms of nanobots that swirled invisibly, seeking their targets with deadly precision. Suddenly, alarms blared. The alien defenses were faltering. Shields flickered, then collapsed like paper under flame. "Now!" Eleanor commanded. Human fleets surged forward, weapons blazing. Alien vessels, deprived of their protective barriers, were torn apart with ruthless efficiency. Yet victory demanded blood. Explosions rocked the Resolute as enemy fire found gaps in its armor. Elena's vision blurred, but her grip on command never wavered. Within the citadel, Kara's team reached the central control nexus, a sprawling chamber pulsing with eerie light and humming energy. "Upload the virus," Malik instructed, sweat beading his brow. The nanotech swarmed into the core systems, fracturing alien code, corrupting command protocols, and sending shockwaves through their forces. But the Citadel fought back. Defense drones erupted from hidden compartments, attacking with blinding speed. One by one, Kara's soldiers fell, their bodies marked by the scars of sacrifice. "Push forward," she urged, voice breaking but unyielding. "For humanity." Outside, Elena fought her own battle, inside and beyond. Messages came through. Allies had turned against one another. Betrayal simmered within the ranks. "Trust no one but your own conscience," Elena whispered. Varkil, wounded but unbroken, prepared a desperate counterattack, a weapon of devastation designed to erase the planet itself. Kara's voice broke through the chaos on comm, fierce and raw. "We've breached the core. Initiating shutdown sequence." Malik monitored the virus's progress. "Systems collapsing. We have minutes." The Citadel shuddered as energy failed, weapons died, and the alien war machine ground to a halt. Varkil roared in fury, but it was too late. On the bridge, Elena watched as the enemy fleet fragmented, ships exploding like dying stars. "Humanity survives," she breathed. A silence settled, heavy with loss, but charged with new purpose. The war was over, but peace was just beginning. Aftermath Earth's skies cleared, revealing battered but unbroken stars. Survivors emerged from shadow, their faces etched with grief and hope. Kara tended the wounded, her voice gentle but firm. "We live because we fight for each other." Elena addressed a gathering of allies and former enemies alike. "This victory is not ours alone. It belongs to every soul who dared to dream of a future beyond fear." Dr. Malik smiled faintly. "Our technology will rebuild worlds, but our hearts will define them." Varkil, defeated but alive, was brought before the new council, a symbol of a past era's collapse and a future's fragile promise. "Earth," he said quietly, "is no death world. It is a crucible, and humanity is its fire." Years later, under a sky of peaceful stars, children ran across fields once scarred by war. Elena stood beside Kara, watching the horizon. "Did we change the galaxy, or did it change us?" Kara asked softly. Elena smiled, eyes shining. "Both. Humanity is not just a species, it's a force, relentless, unpredictable, and eternal." A quiet wind stirred the grass, carrying the promise of new beginnings. The ascension of Earth had begun. Inside the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council, an alien observation team watches humanity with condescension and disbelief. When Earth's primitive fleet unexpectedly activates a weapon never seen before, panic spreads among the Council. Switching to a tense human command room, a commander readies the mysterious Deathworld-Class warship for its silent but deadly mission. A single chilling message over comms promises irreversible consequences, flipping the power balance and setting the galaxy on edge. The grand observation chamber of the Galactic Council thrummed with low hums of hyper-advanced tech, holographic, star maps, swirling data streams, and dozens of alien delegates murmuring in their harsh, guttural tongues. The walls were polished obsidian glass, reflecting endless galaxies mapped in iridescent light. Yet the atmosphere felt oddly fragile. "I don't understand their strategy," hissed Rekthul, the Council's chief tactician, eyes narrowing at the hollow projection flickering before him. "Earth's fleet approaches with no discernible formation, no regard for stealth or evasive maneuvers. They simply charge." Beside him, Kular, a scientist specializing in xenobiology and warfare, tapped her clawed fingers against a transparent console. "They are primitive, yes, lacking advanced cloaking and quantum displacement, but these humans..." Her voice dropped, tinged with awe and something darker. They survive, against impossible odds. Their ships emit low electromagnetic pulses. It disrupts our sensors. Rekthul leaned forward. Their last engagement, the Koralth sector fleet, was decimated not by firepower, but by some electromagnetic event that knocked out half our shields and communications. It was an EMP, Kular interrupted, but not like anything we've seen. It's targeted, tactical, almost surgical. The chamber's massive hollow displayed the Earth fleet's lead vessel, massive, brutal in design, scarred by battle like a predator born of chaos. A ship unlike any other. A Deathworld-Class warship built to endure and annihilate on hostile planets. Its hull was a patchwork of adaptive nanotech plating that shifted hue and texture, camouflaging against hostile environments. An ancient Earth word, Titan's Wrath, glowed faintly along its side in burnt crimson letters. Council delegates chuckled quietly, disbelief thick in the air. They call that primitive junk? Their own folk barely trust it, sneered. Rax, a high-ranking envoy. They're fools to think this relic can survive real war. Suddenly alarms blared. The projection flickered, distorting violently. What is this? Kular gasped. Sensors failing. Communications are static. Our fleet is losing coordination. Rekthul's eyes widened in horror as he stared at the feeds. The Koralth vessel's shields flickered and went dark. Then, one by one, they went silent. An eerie stillness engulfed the chamber. A voice, cracked but resolute, echoed from the Council's comm feed. This is Commander Arya Solari of the Titans. Wrath, the galaxy underestimated Earth. That ends today. The room went silent, the weight of the words pressing down like gravity itself. Across the void, in a stark and utilitarian command deck aboard the Titan's Wrath, Commander Arya stood rigid, eyes fixed on the viewport. The stars streaked past, as the ship's engines hummed, silent, patient, deadly. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jax, approached cautiously. "Commander, they're not responding. The EMP worked perfectly. We've blinded their fleet." Arya's voice was calm, but icy. "Good. Now we begin Phase 2. In the cramped war room, monitors displayed alien fleet positions, all paralyzed. A countdown on the main console ticked down. 60 seconds. 60 seconds to what? Jax asked, his voice tense. Arya's fingers hovered above the activation panel, the symbol of a shattered star, etched faintly in the glass. "Mercy is a luxury reserved for those who deserve it," she whispered, eyes hard as flint. "We are not their victims anymore." Her voice crackled over encrypted comms, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "The humans are coming, and their wrath will be absolute." As the countdown hit 0, a shockwave of unnatural energy rippled silently through space, unseen but felt. The Galactic Council chamber shuddered as communications went dead. On the other side, the cold blackness of space awaited. But now, the game had changed. The aftermath was deafening in its silence. The Galactic Council's great chamber, once vibrant with political bravado and whispered schemes, was now a mausoleum of frozen dread. Screens flickered uselessly, showing only static and dark voids where entire fleets had gone silent. Delegates looked to one another, their eyes wide, voices trembling. "Is this the end?" The Ambassador Zinthar whispered, clutching the arms of his throne. Rekthul's face was pale beneath his ridged exoskeleton. "No, it's the beginning of something far worse. They've broken the rules, the ancient accords forbidding such weapons. But we have no defense." "Their warship, the Deathworld-Class. What is it?" demanded Nrax, voice cracking with fear. Kular, usually the calm voice of reason, faltered. "The technology is ancient Earth military grade. It uses adaptive nanotech plating that repairs itself instantly under attack, cloaks through microgravity bending, and releases electromagnetic pulses tuned to disrupt our shield matrices. It's a perfect predator's weapon, designed for hostile planets with impossible conditions. Zinthar shook his head, eyes blazing. We laughed at their primitiveness. We called Earth a backwater world. But they've survived, thrived. Somehow, back aboard the Titan's Wrath, tension hummed under the surface of the crew like a live wire. Dr. Kira Monroe, the lead scientist assigned to analyze the Deathworld tech, stared at her console, pale but resolute. "Commander, I need to speak frankly. This ship is more than a weapon, it's a crucible." Arya glanced over. "Explain." Kira's fingers danced over her display, bringing up molecular breakdowns and energy fluxes. "The nanotech armor isn't just self-repairing, it's symbiotic. It bonds at a cellular level with the pilot's nervous system. It's alive in a way, fed by bioelectric energy and the pilot's adrenaline." Lieutenant Jax swallowed hard. "Are you saying the ship feels pain, or can it be harmed?" Kira's eyes were haunted. "It's more than that. The ship shares the mental and emotional state of the crew. Fear makes it sluggish, calm focus makes it lethal, and there's a cost. Every time it regenerates, it siphons bioenergy. We're feeding it with our lives." Arya looked out the viewport, voice low and fierce. "Then it's a death world, not just because it can survive hellish environments, but because it demands hellish sacrifice." A silence fell. Kira whispered, "This weapon was never meant for peace. It's a last resort, a promise to anyone who would dare threaten Earth that we will not just fight back, we will consume and destroy until no threat remains." Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council, a plan was already forming, desperation sharpened by fear. Rekthul rose, his voice cutting through the muttering. "We must send envoys, diplomats and warriors. We must negotiate or we risk annihilation." Narak scoffed. "They'll take mercy for weakness and crush us underfoot. I say we prepare fleets, strike first." Kalar's eyes darkened. "We don't understand their limits yet. Their Deathworld ship, it's alive with our fears, yes, but also with their fury. If we push too hard, we awaken something no one can stop." As the standoff hardened into a cold war, Arya moved through the ship's dim corridors, the hum of nanotech alive beneath her boots. She paused at a small display showing a hologram of Earth, a fragile blue world. Her voice was barely audible, but every word was a promise carried on the void. "They will remember why they feared humanity. We are the storm they never saw coming." Lieutenant Jax approached quietly. "Commander, what now?" Arya's eyes gleamed with hard resolve. "We wait, we watch, and when they least expect it, we strike back with everything we have. This ship is our legacy, a death world, not just in name, but in spirit." A single alert sounded softly in the background. Another incoming transmission from the Council, Arya's. Jaw tightened as she prepared to listen. The galaxy held its breath. The humans were no longer the joke they once were. They were the reckoning. The alien council scrambles to understand the scale of the threat as their fleets remain disabled and communications blacked out. On board the Titan's Wrath, Commander. Arya grapples with the heavy cost of wielding such deadly technology. A scientist reveals the ship's true nature. It's more than a war machine. It's symbiotically linked to its crew, feeding off their life force. The galaxy's balance of power begins to crumble under humanity's silent but devastating advance. The Galactic Council was fractured, the usual cacophony of debate replaced by a heavy, suffocating silence. Delegates shifted uneasily in their seats, their eyes darting to the darkened holographic projections where fleets once gleamed with proud strength. Now all was still. Ships lost in the void, their signals snuffed like dying stars. Rekthul, the battle-hardened tactician, slammed a clawed hand against the observation table. "This cannot be. We are blind, deaf, and helpless. Their technology, it defies everything we know." Kular's fingers trembled as she tapped furiously at her console, trying to re-establish contact. The EMP pulses were not random. They were targeted with precision. Our shields are down, our communication grids corrupted. It's surgical warfare masquerading as chaos. The room buzzed with unease. Zinthar, an elder statesman known for his calm voice, whispered, "They've turned our strengths against us. Our arrogance was our downfall." Meanwhile, aboard the Titan's Wrath, the atmosphere was dense with unspoken tension. Commander Arya stood at the command console, her gaze locked on the flickering galactic map. Every muted beep from the ship's systems was a heartbeat echoing the life-or-death gamble they had made. Dr. Kira Munro stepped forward, her voice steady, despite the gravity in the air. "Commander, the ship's nanotech armor adapts and repairs instantly by bonding with our bioelectric fields. But it's not just armor, it's symbiotic. The ship feels what we feel. Our adrenaline, fear, even pain." Lieutenant Jack swallowed hard. "You mean the ship shares our emotions?" Kira nodded grimly. "And it demands a price. Every regeneration drains our own life energy. We're feeding it, becoming part of the weapon." Arya's jaw tightened, the weight of command pressing down. "So it's not just a machine, it's a living death world. Our survival is tied to its fury." In the council chamber, panic gave way to desperation. Nrax, usually brash and unyielding, pleaded, "We must strike preemptively before this death world ship brings ruin upon us all." Gudlar's voice was a stark warning. "If we act hastily, we may awaken a force beyond our control. This isn't just war, it's the fury of a species pushed to the edge." Back on the Titan's Wrath, Arya paced the dim corridors, her footsteps swallowed by the low hum of the ship's living core. She paused before a viewport framing the fragile blue Earth, a small planet cloaked in the vastness of space. "We are the storm they never saw coming," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of a promise and a threat. Lieutenant Jax approached quietly. "Commander, what now?" Arya met his gaze, her eyes steely. "We hold our ground, wait for their next move, and when the time is right, we unleash the full fury of the death world. This ship, this legacy, will ensure humanity is no longer underestimated." Suddenly, an incoming transmission pierced the silence. The distorted voice of a Galactic Council envoy echoed through the comms. "Humanity, this is not the way." Arya cut the channel. "Mercy is for those who earn it." The void outside was no longer empty. The balance had shifted, and the galaxy trembled in the shadow of humanity's wrath. Humanity's Deathworld-Class ship moves deeper into contested space, its crew burdened by the toll of their symbiotic war machine. Alien forces scramble to adapt, sending hunters and spies to unravel the secret of Earth's hidden technology. Commander Arya faces mounting pressure to control her crew's fears and doubts as she balances ruthless strategy with the fragile humanity they fight to protect. The calm Titan's Wrath cut through the inky blackness like a predator stalking its prey. Outside the reinforced viewport, distant stars flickered indifferently, unaware of the storm gathering in their midst. Inside, the ship throbbed with life, not mechanical, but something primal and fierce, pulsing in rhythm with the crew's own rising tension. Arya stood over the navigation console, her sharp eyes scanning the data streams. They had crossed the border of contested space hours ago, slipping past watchful eyes with cloaking fields that bent gravity and light. Each system the ship passed seemed to tense, as if sensing the death world's presence. A silent warning. In the void, Lieutenant Jax approached, his expression tight. "Commander, scouts report increased patrols near the outer rim. The Council's hunters are moving fast." Arya nodded slowly. "Good, let them come. We need them to show us their hand." In the engineering bay, Dr. Kira Monroe was crouched beside the nanotech core, monitoring bioelectric feedback from the crew. Her fingers trembled slightly as the readouts flickered with disturbing spikes. "The symbiotic link is growing unstable," she said quietly. "The ship is feeding harder. Crew members are showing signs of extreme fatigue and neural strain. It's like the ship is demanding more life force to keep itself operational." Arya's voice was firm, but not unkind when she arrived. "What's the risk?" Kira met her gaze. "If the strain continues, the bond could become irreversible. The ship may consume them, body and mind. We could lose more than just soldiers. We could lose them as people." Silence stretched between them, the weight of their situation settling like a shroud. Meanwhile, deep within the Council's war rooms, panic rippled through the ranks. The alien races, once confident in their technological superiority, scrambled to devise countermeasures. Elite hunters were dispatched to track the Titan's wrath, equipped with cloaked sensors and EMP dampeners designed to cripple the Deathworld's defenses. But no one understood the true nature of the human weapon. Not yet. An alien spy, disguised as a trade envoy, infiltrated the edges of human space, desperate to find weakness in the ship's defenses or clues about the nanotech symbiosis. Yet what she found instead was a crew forged by survival and sacrifice, their resolve hardening like steel beneath pressure. Back aboard the Titan's wrath, Arya called a council of her officers. "This ship is more than a tool of war. It's a symbol of everything humanity has endured: betrayal, survival, fury. We don't just fight with weapons, we fight with heart and soul." Jax's voice was grim. "But at what cost, Commander? We're running out of time. The ship is wearing us down." Arya's gaze hardened. "Then we push further. We show the galaxy that Earth is not a backwater. We are the reckoning." The ship's hull hummed in response, almost like a living heartbeat. Outside, the shadows lengthened, and the first distant glimmers of the alien hunters appeared on their sensors. The true battle was just beginning. The alien hunters close in, forcing the Titan's wrath into a deadly cat-and-mouse chase through asteroid fields and collapsing stars. Commander Arya wrestles with the sacrifices her crew must endure. As the ship's symbiotic bond intensifies, a critical breach tests their limits, and humanity's raw resilience shines in the face of overwhelming odds. The cold silence of space shattered with the sudden flare of distant energy bolts. Red streaks arced across the void as alien hunter. Ships darted toward the Titan's wrath, relentless and precise. Inside the warship, alarms screamed, red lights bathing the control room in a hellish glow. Arya's voice cut through the chaos. "Evasive maneuvers, activate the gravity distorters, deploy nanoshields." Lieutenant Jax's hands flew over the controls, fingers dancing with practiced precision. "Shields at 60%. The Hunter's EMP dampeners are eating through our defenses." Dr. Kira Monroe's face was pale as she monitored the bioelectric feedback. "The ship is responding to stress, adrenaline levels spiking across the crew, but the neural strain is reaching dangerous levels. If this continues, we risk permanent neurological damage." Arya's jaw clenched. "We don't have the luxury of retreat." The ship lurched as an energy pulse slammed against the hull, knocking several systems offline. The crew fought back panic, their unity the only tether to survival. Through the viewport, the vast asteroid belt twisted into a deadly maze. "We can use the terrain," Arya ordered. "Lose them in the field." The Titan's wrath dove into the tumbling rocks, gravity distorters, warping space around the ship, bending light and shadow into deceptive illusions. The alien hunters struggled to keep target locks, their formations breaking as one ship collided with a spinning asteroid and exploded in a fireball. Still, the enemy pressed on, relentless. In the medbay, exhausted soldiers lay draped over bunks, eyes glazed with fatigue. The symbiotic bond sapped their strength, even as it healed their wounds. Jax entered quietly, laying a steadying hand on a wounded crewman's shoulder. "Hold on," he murmured. "We're still here." Back on the bridge, Arya stared at the blinking red alerts. The balance was fragile. One wrong move could tip the scales. Suddenly, a warning blared. "A hull breach in the engine room. Seal the compartments," Arya barked. "Divert power to life support." The breach sent a violent shudder through the ship. Kira's voice came over the comms, strained and urgent. "Commander, the symbiosis is accelerating. The ship is drawing more from us to repair." "Damage faster," Arya's breath caught. "How much longer can we hold?" Kira's reply was quiet, almost a confession. "Not much. The ship is alive, but it's hungry." The crew faced a cruel paradox. Survival demanded sacrifice. As the Titan's wrath limped away from the breach, the hunters regrouped, tightening their net. Yet even as the galaxy's most advanced forces closed in, humanity's heart beat strong, fueled by something beyond technology, the unyielding will to endure. As the Titan's wrath limps from battle, cracks emerge within the crew's unity. Commander Arya confronts fear and desperation, while Dr. Kira uncovers a hidden secret in the ship's core, an ancient, forbidden technology linking human evolution to the Deathworld symbiosis. Meanwhile, alien factions fracture, some pushing for peace, others for annihilation, as the galaxy braces for humanity's next move. The air aboard the Titan's wrath felt thick, heavy with exhaustion, fear, and something deeper: doubt. The once unshakable conviction in the crew's purpose now flickered like a dying ember. Arya paced the dimly lit command chamber, fingers curling around the cold metal railing. "We've lost too many already. How much more can they take before this symbiosis consumes them?" Lieutenant Jack stepped forward, voice steady despite the weariness in his eyes. "They're strong, we're strong, but the ship, it's changing us." At that moment, Dr. Kira Monroe entered, clutching a data pad, eyes alight with urgency. "Commander, I've found something." Arya motioned for silence, turning toward the scientist. Kira tapped the screen, revealing strange energy readings, a pulsing beneath the ship's hull. "The nanotech isn't just technology, it's a legacy, ancient, predating even our earliest spaceflight. This tech was embedded in human DNA, an evolutionary artifact designed for survival on death worlds." Jax frowned. "You're saying this is part of us, a weapon passed down through millennia?" Kira nodded gravely. "The symbiosis is the next phase. The ship's core isn't just machinery, it's a living archive of human endurance and adaptation." A silence fell. The crew digested the revelation that their fight was not just for survival, but to awaken a buried power. Meanwhile, across the Galactic Council, tensions fractured old alliances. The horror and awe inspired by the Titan's wrath split factions into hawks, demanding swift annihilation, and doves seeking negotiation. Rekthal raged in the war chamber. "We cannot bargain with a species wielding death-world powers. They threaten all we've built." Yet Kular's voice was measured. "Perhaps there is mercy in understanding. To destroy them blindly invites chaos upon ourselves." Back aboard the ship, Arya gathered her officers. "We stand at a crossroads. This ship is a weapon, yes, but also a promise, a chance to reclaim our humanity from the abyss." Jax's gaze hardened. "Then we fight not just for Earth, but for what we might become." The Titan's wrath shuddered, its core humming with a new energy, alive, ancient, and hungry. Outside, stars shimmered coldly, watching silently as humanity's fate hung in the balance. Humanity's Deathworld-Class ship faces a new threat: internal instability. The ship's symbiotic technology begins to push the crew toward a dangerous edge, testing their mental and physical limits. Meanwhile, alien forces exploit this vulnerability, escalating the battle. Commander Arya confronts the fine line between control and chaos as the crew teeters on the brink of transformation or destruction. The hum of the Titan's wrath grew deeper, more insistent, a pulse that echoed through every hull plate and every living cell intertwined with its nanotech core. The symbiosis was no longer just a partnership, it was becoming a fusion. Inside the command center, Arya stared at the fluctuating biofeedback monitors. The crew's neurological signals showed sharp spikes, moments of clarity shattered by waves of confusion, anxiety, even rage. Dr. Kira Monroe's voice was tense as she reported from her station. "Commander, the ship's energy demands are accelerating. The neural strain is causing synaptic overloads. Some crew members are experiencing dissociative episodes." Jax rubbed his temples. "This isn't just physical exhaustion anymore. It's psychological warfare inside our own minds." The weight of command settled heavier on Arya's shoulders. How much longer before the ship takes complete control? Kira swallowed hard. If unchecked, the nanotech could override their free will. It's designed for survival, but it doesn't discriminate between fight or flight. We risk losing them to the ship's primal instinct. Outside, alien vessels closed the distance, emboldened by their prey's fracturing resolve. Sensors detected. Multiple strikes aimed at disabling the Titan's Wrath's propulsion and cloaking systems. "Shields weakening," Jack shouted. "Prepare for boarding." Arya's hand hovered over the emergency override. "No, we don't fight their way. We fight ours." In the dark corridors, soldiers gripped plasma rifles, faces taut with tension. Whispers filled the air, half fear, half defiance. Suddenly the ship's lights dimmed, replaced by the eerie glow of the symbiotic core pulsing beneath the decks. A voice, distorted but unmistakably human, echoed through the comms. "We are one." Arya's breath hitched. This was no longer a ship. It was a living entity, its hunger for survival inseparable from the crew's fate. As alien boarding pods slammed against the hull, a fierce resolve ignited within her. "We are humanity's last stand," she vowed, "and we will not break." In the thick of battle, humanity reveals its true strength, not just technology, but indomitable spirit. As the Titan's wrath clashes with superior alien forces, Commander Arya leads a desperate counterattack. The ship's symbiosis evolves, unlocking unforeseen capabilities. The aliens witness humanity's terrifying adaptability and pay a heavy price for their underestimation. The void outside the Titan's wrath exploded in bursts of plasma fire, streaks of blue and gold tearing through the darkness. Alien warships surged forward, confident and brutal, their weapons calibrated for swift destruction. But humanity had never been predictable. "Brace for impact." Arya's voice was steady, commanding through the chaos. "Deploying nanoshield." "Arrays!" Jax yelled, as glowing fields flickered to life around the ship, warping space itself. The gravity distorters pulsed, bending the trajectories of incoming fire. Within the ship's neural core, the symbiotic connection deepened. Arya felt it like a living heartbeat, syncing with her own. Pain mixed with power, the nanotech weaving. Survival instinct with cutting-edge warfare. "Commander, sensors indicate a feedback loop," Kira warned. "The ship is adapting its energy output based on our neural impulses." A sudden lurch shook the bridge as the Titan's wrath released a burst of electromagnetic pulses, frying enemy targeting arrays. One by one, alien ships faltered, their formations breaking. Arya's eyes burned with fierce pride. "They thought us primitive. They laughed when we first appeared. But they never understood. Humanity thrives on chaos and sacrifice." Outside, boarding pods exploded against reinforced bulkheads as soldiers prepared to repel invaders with plasma rifles and nanoblade combat drones. "Hold the line!" Arya commanded, stepping into the fray alongside her crew. Her suit glimmered, with symbiotic energy, enhancing strength and reflexes. The alien attackers faltered, overwhelmed by the human ferocity and unpredictable tactics honed from Deathworld survival. Jax fought alongside Arya, his voice a growl. "They're breaking! Push forward!" The ship pulsed brighter, alive, hungry, unstoppable. As the last alien warship withdrew in defeat, silence fell over the battlefield. Arya stood atop the bridge, voice steady but heavy. "This is only the beginning. They will come back stronger, but so will we." The galaxy had misread humanity. The Deathworld-Class ship was not just a weapon, it was a promise. Humanity would not bow, would not break. And those who underestimated Earth would soon learn fear. The battle had passed, but the echoes lingered. Silence was broken only by the soft hum of the ship's core, still pulsing with alien nanotech, intertwined with human DNA. A living testament to survival. Arya sat alone in the dim light of the command chamber, the weight of command pressing on her like gravity itself. Her eyes traced the stars beyond the viewport, endless and indifferent. Lieutenant Jax approached quietly, his expression unreadable. "We won, but it feels like we lost more than we gained." Arya's voice was low, haunted. "Every victory leaves scars, not all of them visible." Meanwhile, in the science bay, Kira pored over ancient data streams embedded deep within the symbiotic core. Fragments of long-forgotten genetic codes intertwined with synthetic nanotech hinted at a grim secret. "This isn't just evolution," Kira muttered, eyes wide. "It's engineered sacrifice. The symbiosis demands not just strength, but surrender. Humanity's survival comes at a terrifying cost." Her fingers trembled as she ran simulations. The ship's energy siphoned from living tissue, gradually rewriting neural pathways, reshaping minds. Outside, across the Galactic Council, debate raged like wildfire. Some factions called for total war, others whispered of uneasy alliances. The myth of humanity's Deathworld-Class ship had unsettled the galaxy's balance of power. Vrekthul snarled in frustration. "They adapt too quickly, their rage a weapon no science can predict." Krylos' calm voice cut through the fury. "We must understand before we destroy, or risk losing ourselves to blind hatred." Back on the Titan's wrath, Arya's resolve hardened. "We are more than a weapon. We are the storm that will remake the galaxy." The symbiotic core thrummed in agreement, alive and waiting for the trials ahead. The corridor lights flickered, intermittently, shadows dancing on cold metal walls. Tension twisted the air, inside the Titan's wrath like a coiled spring.